What's up, Baffle Gang? Coming at you with part 2 of the aliens abduction. Yay! This is part 2. Part 1 will be linked in the pinned comment and also at the end of this video. It was very good, and today we got a lot more stories that I think you're gonna really like, and more so than that, you're gonna be baffled. When I first saw this picture of this gentleman with that beard, I was very perplexed. I was quite baffled, to say the least. Like this video, subscribe if you're brand new. We upload every single day, and it's a pleasure to have you, but roll it.
The authority to provide deeds to the heavenly bodies. 9. Calvin Parker, participant in the Pascagoula incident. Charles Hickson never regretted the attention he received after telling authorities he saw an unusual flying object and its passengers 40 years ago on the banks of the Pascagoula River. Until his death in 2011, Hickson shared his story with anybody who would listen. However, Calvin Parker Jr., the other witness in one of the
Duo stands by 40-year-old alien abduction. Okay, so they are still sticking with the story that they told 40 years ago?
The most high-profile UFO cases in American history, has never accepted what he claims was a visit by gray, crab-clawed creatures from another world. He claims the experience on October 11th, 1973 flipped his life upside down. Parker was startled by the sudden influx of unwanted attention, with television crews and UFO enthusiasts overrunning Walker Shipyard, where he and Hickson worked. He sought to avoid the spotlight for decades, moving repeatedly before relocating to Mississippi's Gulf Coast in recent years. The occurrence generated headlines, spurred a worldwide wave
roll that
to Mississippi's Gulf Coast in recent years. The occurrence
Everybody's calling about these spacemen, unidentified flying objects, currently a juicy conversation topic in Mississippi, and this happened in 1973. Now in part 1, of course, we also covered this video that's going around as well. It's yeah, check this, I'll just play it. Yeah, we covered this part as well. This story as well, probably a meteor, but still, like, it's quite fascinating. It's going viral. I posted that over on my Twitter. I would definitely love to have you there. But like, in part 1, we also covered the story of Travis Walton, and his case happened in 1975. So this guy claiming, this duo, these two people are claiming this happened to them in 73. That's crazy. The 70s was kind of crazy. Needless
generated headlines, spurred a worldwide
Cars IM 110 after UFO report.
Wave of UFO sightings, and became one of the most extensively investigated incidents in history. Skeptics varied from the deputies who first interviewed the men to an author who attempted to find flaws in the account, and Parker himself has had conflicting feelings about whether he was visited by aliens or demons. Parker, now 58, was 18 when he went fishing with Hickson on a quiet Thursday night after work. As they dangled their lines without much success, the two reported seeing a UFO with blue lights sweep down. They reported that the thing made a zipping noise. Hickson claimed 3 beings with leathery gray skin and crab-like claws, which he mistook for robotics, grabbed their forearms and levitated them on board the vehicle. He mumbled something, and it appeared that a giant floating eye was inspecting him. Parker claims he was conscious, but paralyzed. He was extensively examined, and they returned to the coast, where it all began. The UFO was gone, and Parker said they tried to collect themselves. Hickson needed 3 shots of liquor from a bottle in his car to calm.
Is that Tristan Tate from Andrew Tate? Is that okay? He looks like Tristan Tate, though. You really gonna do the homie like that?
His nerves before deciding to report what happened. There is no historical sign on the riverbank commemorating the encounter, and no merchants sell UFO souvenirs, but locals remember, although with suspicion and jokes. Parker, for his part, admitted that he has had conflicted feelings about that night in 1973. At one time, he was unsure whether the beings were aliens or demons, but one thing he was sure of, they were real. 8. Betty Hill. Betty and Barney Hill were citizens of New Hampshire who lived in Portsmouth, close to the ocean. On September 19, 1961, the couple claimed to have seen lights approaching them in the sky late at night as they were traveling back from a vacation to Montreal over the White Mountains of New Hampshire.
Yo, I'm in Montreal as well. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Barney says he saw non-human people in a cigar-shaped object hovering over their automobile through binoculars. The last thing they can remember is that they were 35 miles further on their homeward trek. Their memory of the last 2 hours of their drive vanished. Barney's shoes were severely scratched, and Betty's clothing was ripped and stained, but none of them remembered how these or other visible alterations to their automobile and possessions had occurred. The pair was able to recollect identical details of an alien abduction after undergoing hypnosis therapy. As a result of her encounter, Betty rose to prominence in the field of UFO studies. And
okay, on this one right now, okay, what are the odds somebody, for example, yeah, right, like, so they're saying they lost memory, they had signs of okay, yeah, like something happened, right? I guess their first thought would be, did somebody like try to R-word my wife or R-word us, right? Because that's how it sounds like, logically speaking, right? Thank God that didn't happen, or I don't know, right? But okay, yeah, but they don't have recollection of memory. That's insane. They don't know what happened, so they're missing time. But what are the odds somebody is gonna go through this and then does the hypnosis? Right? I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, yeah, like, okay, think about it. Think about this for a second, right? This happened to you. Would you actually go under hypnosis to find out what happened? Now that I'm asking you, and now that I'm saying this out loud, makes sense, right? And if you're aware of this thing called hypnosis, maybe you're really gonna go. Like, okay, if I were in their shoes, I 100% would, because this is insane. Like, I don't know what happened in the last 2 hours, right? I got no recollection, and I got scratch mark all over me, all over the car, and I just don't know what happened. If I'm aware of the hypnosis, yeah, I would. But like, I don't know, man. Would they really go through that? I guess the first thing would be like calling the cops, maybe. Yeah, right. I don't know.
The media attention,
It's just I'm having a tough time believing the story that yeah, it happened, and then it's like yeah, you go through the hypnosis.
couple's tale garnered helped to establish her as a global celebrity. Even now, the way extraterrestrial encounters are covered in the media has been influenced by their accounts of what they saw and experienced that evening. The Hills were active government servants in their seaside New Hampshire village, despite being most renowned for their abduction.
Okay, now that changes the perception then. Okay, so they were like high-ranking government officials, so they must have heard about hypnosis and okay. Yeah, okay, maybe they knew about the hypnosis thing, and yeah, they're like, okay, we're missing time, we don't know what happened, okay, let's go through that and let's unlock their memory, right? Okay, makes sense.
Abduction and relationship with UFOs. Barney served on a local board of the U.S. Civil Rights Commission, and they were both NAACP members.
Holy.
7. John Mack. John Edward Mack was an American psychiatrist, author, and psychiatry professor. From 1977 to 2004, he was the chair of Harvard Medical School's Department of Psychiatry. Mack was awarded the Pulitzer Prize in 1977 for his book, A Prince of Our Disorder, about T.E. Lawrence. Mack's therapeutic interests included child and adolescent psychology, as well as religious psychology. He was also a pioneering researcher in the psychology of adolescent suicide and drug addiction, and he eventually expanded into the psychology of extraterrestrial abduction encounters. In the early 1990s, Mack initiated a decade-long psychiatric study of 200 men and women who had experienced recurring alien encounters. He initially believed that such people were suffering from mental disease,
200?
but when no visible illnesses were found in the people he examined, his curiosity was sparked. His later studies expanded to include a broader discussion of the benefits of an expanded definition of reality, one that allows for experiences that may not match the Western materialist paradigm, but have a significant impact on people's lives, nonetheless. 6. Sue
That's
Jameson.
baffling.
Sue Jameson apparently experienced alien abduction since she was a young woman. The experiences were traumatic, but Sue has managed to overcome her fear, among other things, by painting her visitors. We can see one of the paintings of the alien in question in the video, and it's scary, to say the least.
Yeah, I guess they always look like this. All the paint, not all, but majority, right? Like all the major paintings are like big eyes, small nose, small mouth, ears barely visible, nose kind of barely visible as well, long arms, long fingers, and all that, right? Some of them are like really tall, like either they're like 7 feet tall, or they're like 4 feet tall kings, right? Short kings. Nobody say short, man. Nobody say short. Short people lives matter too. Like I'm 5'7", you know what I'm saying? Nobody say short, man. Nobody. I'm a short king out there, okay? Like, well, where my short kings at though? Shout out to my short kings watching this video as well. But like, either they're like 4 feet or like 7 feet, 9 feet. And what happened in Las Vegas as well, where we heard the story right last year, right? Something crashed and the guy claimed to have seen 9 feet tall, 10 feet tall aliens. It's like crazy. 10 feet tall. Holy crap, like what are we doing here? What are we talking about? You see a 10 feet tall guy, you would have to look like that, even if you're 6 feet tall. And a guy like me that's 5'7", I would have to look all the way up like that, bro. All the way up like that.
The first abduction Sue remembers occurred when she was 19, when a pulsating blue light admitted its way across her bedroom. But even though she felt a presence, she was terrified to turn around, until she finally mustered the courage to look and noticed 2 small gray beings, making her faint. After the experience, she was abducted several more times and felt the world was no longer a safe place. 5.
Crazy.
Marshall Apple.
So she's claiming that multiple times. Holy crap! Like, so did she go under hypnosis or lie detecting test or any sort of that like test or any of these type of tests?
Applewhite. Marshall Applewhite led the Heaven's Gate religious cult in Texas. He was a self-proclaimed prophet who borrowed rhetoric from science fiction and scripture.
Yeah, I remember
in
this.
1997, he led his group in a mass suicide in the hopes of being transported into space.
Man, that is just holy crap. Yeah, we had a similar video before, and this case was mentioned in that video. Like, oh, holy crap! Like, what the actual hell? Like, just by looking at the guy, he looks evil.
Bonnie Lou Nettles, his close partner, felt they were the two mentioned in the Book of Revelation, sent on an important mission. The group tried numerous unorthodox diets, and sex, drinking, and smoking were prohibited. Lying and disobeying the rules were both regarded serious sins. Applewhite and Nettles also valued uniformity, with members wearing baggy clothing and short hair to conceal their gender and sexuality. In the 1980s, the group relocated indoors, renting residences in numerous areas, including Dallas. Some members even began acquiring jobs in the outside world under fictitious names. Applewhite was dealt a heartbreaking blow in 1985 when Nettles died of cancer. He'd lost his spiritual partner and appeared to be struggling for a while. By the late 1980s, however, Applewhite had regained his enthusiasm for evangelizing and began spreading the word about the impending end of the world. Applewhite became interested in the Hale-Bopp comet after it was discovered in 1995. He regarded the comet as a sign that a spaceship was on its way to transport them to the next level. As the Hale-Bopp comet approached Earth in 1997, Applewhite and his disciples prepared to leave this world. On March 21st, they had a last supper at a restaurant, ordering the same thing: turkey pot pie, cheesecake with blueberries, and iced tea. A day or two later, when the comet
That bussin' though, that bussin'. Can a brother get like a... Can a brother get an apple pie too, man?
was closest to the globe, Applewhite and his followers and iced tea. A day or two later, when the comet was closest to the globe, Applewhite and his followers committed suicide by consuming a cocktail of vodka and barbiturates. The bodies were all clothed identically in purple shrouds. Many people were startled and disturbed by the mass suicide that occurred at Heaven's Gate. The media broadcast parts from a rambling video created by Applewhite soon before the suicides, in which they explained their objective and encouraged others to join them.
Holy crap, what are we doing here? Man, I would rather be like, okay, you know, we had a case like this where some of these people were like, not this case specifically, I guess, but different case, where some people were waiting that this day they're gonna see a spaceship come land on Earth and they're gonna be abducted and all will be good. I like that scenario much better than actually just like taking my own life, right? Like, you wait for it. It's like your Uber driver, right? Like, your Uber driver is gonna come and pick you up, but the Uber driver does not come. But the spaceship doesn't come in that story apparently. And then they walk back home and they're like, well, that was kind of depressing because nobody showed up, right? I rather that story than this, man. This is insane, bro.
Members also captured exit footage. However, these did little to soothe the followers' families or help the rest of the world understand their dramatic, unexplainable actions. 4. The Aarons family. Although they didn't realize it until the early 1990s, Dan and Joyce Aarons, husband and wife, were abducted by aliens in West Plains, Missouri, in the fall of 1976, sparking events that would not only engulf them, but also affect their children, both at the time and years later. Indeed, the encounters that would change the Aarons family's lives are arguably among the most intense episodes of repeated extraterrestrial abduction ever documented. Although some individuals suspect that the family arranged the events, a detailed examination of the facts of the case contradicts this and reveals that the family's accounts are highly plausible. Many facts about the Aarons encounters are likewise consistent with many other claims of extraterrestrial abductions throughout the world and over the years. The Aarons encounters, like many other incidents of apparent alien abduction, represent only a minor portion of the larger picture of UFO and alien riddles. 3. John Broberg. How can a trusted but severely abusive family friend get away with snatching you as a child twice, apparently assisted by aliens anxious to preserve their planet? Robert Berchtold was a friend of the Brobergs. As a churchgoer and community stalwart, he made the family feel unique. When John was kidnapped, her parents couldn't think Berchtold wished her harm. Bob Berchtold drove away with her one day after telling Broberg's parents he was taking the child horseback riding. Berchtold kept her captive with an elaborate ruse, claiming they had been taken by aliens and that Jan needed to collaborate with the aliens. But Berchtold did not just kidnap Broberg once. He entrapped Broberg's religious parents in such a complex web of trust and shame that he was able to persuade the family to drop the most serious charges against him, allowing him to spend time with their young daughter and sexually abuse her, and, in the most shocking twist of all, kidnap her a second time when she was 14. After 5 weeks, the FBI hunted down John and Berchtold, but Jan was too afraid to tell anyone about the aliens, or to admit that she had been abused. Over the next decade, John cautiously acknowledged what had happened to her, sought counseling, and rebuilt her life. Berchtold fled, returning over 3 decades later, popping up and harassing John at public speaking events. John brought stalking charges against him and eventually faced her abuser in court, but he killed himself before he could be found guilty, hence only served 15 days for raping and abusing John, as well as future abuse of other children. 2. Claude Marie.
Holy crap, man. What the hell? Number 2, Claude Maurice Marcel.
Marcel Vorelon. Raelism is a controversial UFO religion that believes life on Earth was created by extraterrestrials. Founded in 1974, the order reportedly has 70,000 members today and enjoys tax exempt.
You know what? Like there are a whole lot of conspiracies like that hey, we were made by the aliens. Actually, some do believe it. Recently. The Y-Files also made a video, Anunnakis, yeah. The Y-Files also made a video on the Anunnakis, and so, yeah, some people do believe that the Anunnakis actually created us, right? Yeah, it's insane thought, like insane thought. Now, if you're somebody that's like, okay, well, for a second, right? Like, let's believe that, yeah, the aliens or the Anunnakis aliens, they made us. Then who made them though? You know, it's like a never-ending question. Like, yeah, who made this bottle, right? Like, yeah, it's us who made it, right? Somebody made it, right? The chair, somebody made it. Who made us? God made us, right? But now it's like, hey, Anunnakis made it. But okay, yeah, fair, Anunnakis made us. But who made Anunnakis? Who made God, right? Like, that's also another question. It just never ends. It never ends. It's insane, man. Both from like an atheist standpoint and from like a religious standpoint, like. Yeah, it's like if you're an atheist, right? Like you obviously don't believe in God, and okay, that's fair. That's your take, your opinion. But like when you ask them like, hey, who made this bottle of water? They would be like, yeah, somebody made it, like a human made it, right? So somebody also made us. Now, if you're willing to believe that the Anunnaki made us, then who made the Anunnakis? Okay, that species perhaps made them. Then who made that species? It's just a never-ending question, never-ending cycle. It's quite frankly very baffling. It's insane. Yeah, man. Have you ever looked yourself in the mirror and you're like, hey, I'm really in this B? Yeah, it's one of those things, man. Like, shit, man. Life's crazy, bro. Life's crazy.
Exempt status in the United States, saying that sexuality is a gift of pleasure from aliens to humanity. Status in the United States. The order reportedly has Earth was created by extraterrestrials. Founded in 1974, the order reportedly has 70,000 members today and enjoys tax-exempt status in the United States, saying that sexuality is a gift of pleasure from aliens to humanity. Humans, descendants of the angelic extraterrestrials known as the Elohim, can prepare for their return to Earth, which is predicted in 2035, through sexual meditation, genetically engineered foods, human cloning.
Okay, what is meditation, the Easter egg meditation? Like, what do you do? Like, do you actually perform in that? Or you simply like meditate? How can you meditate and perform at the same time? That's quite baffling. I don't understand that. I don't understand that. You either meditate or you perform. You cannot do the both unless you mean like abstaining from it. Okay, yeah. But like, how do you do both at the same time? I don't know about that one.
And Las Vegas meetups. Followers refer to genetically engineered foods, human cloning, and Las Vegas meetups. Followers refer to it as a religion, but others describe it as a sect or cult. Raelism's official symbol is a combination of the Zionist community's Star of David and the swastika, which was seized by Hitler. The Raelians use the hexagram as a symbol to depict the infinite and cyclical nature of life. It's also the focal point of the so-called embassy they hope to construct to greet the aliens when they return for the apocalypse revelation. At this point, the ultimate messengers will pay us a visit in their flying saucers and establish political and commercial relations. They believe in scientific progress rather than God. Raelians revere Moses, Jesus, and Buddha as prophets, led by a 71-year-old Frenchman named Rael. The creator and self-proclaimed Messiah stated that he was visited by UFOs and chosen as the prophet to preach their message. He depicts the extraterrestrials as having faces full of love and offer him a book of their teachings, the book which tells the truth, which currently operates as the Raelian Bible. Raelism is still on the edges of society, but it's becoming increasingly popular. They have frequent online meetups and run a happiness academy, and are popular in Japan. Rael considers himself an educator,
really?
and believes he is doing the right thing, despite his unconventional idea. 1. Billy Meyer. Edward Albert Meyer, also known as Billy, is the creator of a UFO religion called the Free Community of Interests for the Border and Spiritual Sciences and Ufological Studies. Meyer claims to have regular contact with extraterrestrial creatures known as the Pleasurean. Throughout the 1970s, he also offered metal samples, sound recordings, and film footage. Meyer claims to be the 7th reincarnation of 6 prophets from Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Skeptics and ufologists have widely accused Meyer of fraud, claiming he used models to create hoax images of alien spaceships. Meyer's prophecies frequently blame Jews for coming calamities. In 1997, Meyer's ex-wife informed interviewers that his images were of spaceship models he built using garbage can lids, carpet tacks, and other household things. And that the
oh man, why, bro? Like, you were really trying to like troll internet detectives like that? Yeah, man, like, you cannot win against the internet detectives, bro. Just stop trying, bro. Just stop trying.
Claims he related about his encounters with aliens were also fake. After seeing these videos, it's clear that many of these people are delusional and downright nasty. Which one was your...
Guys, click on this part 1 here. This is the part 1, okay? We done part 1. I think you're really gonna be baffled by it. I think you're gonna like it. If you've already seen it, then check out the video on the left.